Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Rancher and Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. My name is Marsha Williams Cromer. I am the author of the book series The Rancher and Stilettos, and my guest today is Nneka Onwualu.
Hello,
Nneka,
hello.
Nneka, I'm so glad to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I've been watching the shows each time they've come out, and each one gets more and more interesting. Your guests are phenomenal.
Thank
What people
you.
have to say about your work is fantastic too. So you should be most proud of yourself.
Well, and I'm proud that you and I connected. You're in Canada.
Yes.
You're right. I'm between the States and France. But we managed to have this friendship that's pretty new. And I'm so glad I met you through your sister Anita.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're also a writer, which is another way that we connect.
Yes. Yes. I
Talk to me a
do.
little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I started, I don't want to age myself, but I started, several decades ago
Yes.
as a writer for a newspaper here in Canada. It was a daily newspaper when print was still king,
Right.
and was an editor, and prior to that was a freelance writer. So a lot of the work that I was doing was lifestyle writing, feature writing. I did a lot of focus on fashion, real estate, fun sort of fluffy stuff. And then as I moved into being an editor, I started doing working with other writers, freelance writers, managing a team of them, and doing photography, managing photographers, photo shoots, and picked up the skill of doing design and layout. So I was
Okay.
curating the content, editing the content, laying the content out into the onto the pages. And so I did that for many years, and then sort of gravitated towards corporate communications, a lot of nonprofit work,
Right.
and still was doing a great deal of writing, but through a different lens, obviously because the audience changed and
Right.
the type of writing changed. But kept on working with writers on their books. And so it was, a little on the side, being an editor, helping them not just with grammar and structure, but also some developmental help, helping them with, continuity, character development, context, that sort
Right.
of.
Right. It's a huge, huge support right there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
Good, good, good. Well, we're going to pivot to talk about the books because I know
Awesome.
you're a lover of it. Look, as I call them, ranchers.
Yes.
We can give a toast to the rancher and stilettos. Love, love,
Cheers.
love. Cheers.
Cheers.
So when we met, it was virtual.
Yes.
We did have a chance later to meet each other in person because of my connection with your family. So I know you love the books. Talk to me. Who's your favorite
I
character?
I absolutely love the books. Well, obviously the main characters is my favorite.
Say,
Although her sassy friend
Charm-
reminds me, yeah,
Charmaine is, yeah, everybody loves Charmaine. She
yeah,
tells it like it is.
she reminds me too much of too many women in my life that I know who are crazy. Maybe not all wrapped into one like her, but certain aspects of her. And then when I read the first book, I the first edition in the series, I was captivated right away. I think I read it in one day,
Oh, wow.
and
Woo.
I read it on my phone,
Okay,
so
okay. Uh-huh.
all the
Yep.
way through.
The ebook.
And then I got to the second one, same thing on my phone, read it all the way
I
through.
love that.
And when we met in Texas over the summer for when I was down there with my son, I got into panic stations because I didn't have the third edition and I couldn't get it, a digital copy. And I thought, where am I going to get this third book? And I was crying about it at Anita's. And she said, oh, I have a third copy in my office. What?
One of
So,
my biggest supporters, Anita. I love her. She's amazing.
so yeah. And I grabbed the book, immediately laid on the couch, and that was me done. Took a couple
Oh,
hours. It took me, and I was in. I was hooked. So yeah, I thoroughly loved all three.
so obviously they're romance novels, but you get the storyline of the support of the women. So from that perspective, do you find it to be empowering for women?
Absolutely. And I found the fact, well, obviously the friendships and the support and the, love for each other, that's empowering enough as it is. And I think most women who have sort of their own dreamer crew
Right.
can attest to that. But I particularly found the career piece really empowering, the fact that she pivots from the career she is in and makes the leap and
To go
starts
from
and
being the marketing professional corporate to
yeah,
running her own business, right? With
yeah,
a
yeah,
friend. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And it really was great. And I found, while her friends were supportive, um I think it was great when when the time comes when she realizes that she could do it on her own,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it didn't serve her to be frustrated or angry or disappointed in the paths that her friends or team were taking, because everybody has a different path and can different interests, and that doesn't mean you don't support each other. It doesn't mean that you don't root for each other, but she makes that choice to just go for it, and I love that about her.
I think that's a great point. Initially, as the way I feel about the characters grows too, depending on where I am in my own life.
Mhm. Mhm.
How I write the next book is kind of a reflection of where, I am as a writer and a person. Um, as Zayd moves from New York and goes back home, she obviously has had this interest. She knows what she wants to do, but she's not quite confident enough that she doesn't need some wing people to
Mhm.
support her.
Mhm.
The girls tell her straight up, well, I'm gonna, this is my full-time job. I'm not ready to give that up. I'll make an investment. I do want to participate. But none of them had the bandwidth or really interest in being front and center. It was sort of her dream, and they were supporting her along the way. And Corey, the main investor, told her straight up, it's a lot of people to be, in a business together.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
gave him such a great, impassioned answer that, I know these ladies would do anything for me. I have all confidence that they'll be there for me. And while they were there for her, it as the business grew, she needed more. So she starts to rely on someone that's kind of outside the circle, but who's trying to prove herself. And you know how that turned out.
That bites her in the you know what, at the end of the day. Although I wasn't,
Whoa.
I don't think your readers were surprised
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that
right,
front.
right.
Yeah,
And
she was
at
a
some
little, she was too eager.
Yeah, yeah. And at some point, we all know these are life lessons. One of my father's sayings was always, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
You may get other people on board because they have some interest, but if it's really your dream and your desire, you can hire people and think that you've got the support coming that you need, and it doesn't always happen that way. So you end up doing it anyway. You end up doing it yourself anyway. And ultimately, what she learns is no harm, no foul. Nobody's at fault here. We come to an impasse. If I'm going to be doing this work, I need to hire out for it. I don't need to have you guys as officers in the business any longer.
Exactly. The other thing I found really impactful, and it's not a criticism of Black literature, but there's often this sense that it has to be like a rags to riches story, or there's, groups who are not of, who are maybe in a lower socioeconomic class, or for an education difference, or there's a generational difference. And that you didn't even
No.
touch on. And I think that that brings it to a much more true reflection of Black women,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
That Black women are professionals. They are ambitious. They're entrepreneurial. They have great lasting relationships. They come from generations who are as successful as them.
Absolutely.
And I think that although that's not um, a theme that's in the book, by maintaining that level, that like these are the women who they are. It's about the friendships of successful women
Right. Right.
and friendships amongst successful Black women, but I think it's women
Right.
maybe
Right.
come first. So I like that. I think that was really, it brings it opens it up to more connections from all groups, because friendship and
All
womanhood, sisterhood comes first.
all women relate to it. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
But to your point, I didn't grow up like most Black women. I grew up in the rural parts of Texas on a ranch. So that's my story. That's what I knew
Yeah.
about. And as I'm writing it and hearing from my readers, they were interested in knowing this other path that they had not heard about, seen, and some of the history of rodeos and cowboys and all that. It comes from Black history, and for us not to realize that that is a part of our own history, that I think it gave me an opportunity to kind of shine a light on that as our reality as well.
Absolutely. And the land ownership
Yep.
is so huge, right?
Yep.
That's such a huge legacy for women and Black women, right? So you've got that. You've got the ability in Zay to honor that part of her, while at the same time pursuing, another world, that you don't have to forsake one world or the other. I mean, they can coexist, which is
Right. Right. And I think taking from my own experiences, my parents were both professionals. So that's what I saw. They were professionals by day, but the farm, the ranch, we grew our own food and vegetables and meat and all that right there on the ranch. So dual roles for all of us, that's what I saw.
yeah,
So to go away from home to work every day, not a problem. So we were prepared to do them both and progress.
yeah, definitely.
Question for you: your
Sure.
favorite male character?
So, well, I am gonna say that I do love Corey. I do love Corey.
Mm.
And so when he behaves the way he does, um, I found that disappointing because it's not something I expected. I think other people may have expected that
So
that
when,
true maybe black white divide
when you
would
say
shine.
what specifically, when you say does what he does, he acted a certain way, in what regard?
When well, in all the times that he sort of dismissed her
Mm-hmm.
feelings,
Mm-hmm.
or it irritated me to no end that he was as jealous as he was. Although
Right.
I get it, she, it's another person in her life, but that I'm tired of the male who's, is bigger's business, like that sort of competition,
Right. Right.
He-Man kind of nonsense, right? I'm well over that. But also that even as enlightened and as maybe liberal and open-minded and all of that he was, there's still there are still cultural prejudices that and gender prejudices that still shine through. And
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
you want to, and he lacked the insight to see that where I think had he had the insight or was prepared, she would be and been able to talk to him about this is why what you're
mhm,
saying or doing.
affects me or impacts me or
Yeah,
upsets
yeah,
me.
yeah. She didn't feel
Um,
safe enough to tell him, and I'm not sure he would have heard it.
yeah, and I think on some level she was trying to tell him, but he kept reverting back to his natural behavior, which is, you got a problem, let me just solve it so you don't have to think about that and you can come back to just focusing on me.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he was definitely a problem solver. Yeah. And
yeah,
then the Lane character, who she's up and down with, of course. And by the end of the storyline, he kind of is in a position in his life that he's got some health issues. He's afraid, and now he wants her to be there for him.
yeah.
Um, how did you feel about that?
Well, I wasn't surprised because I think that's a characteristic a lot of men carry. It's not that I'm a Kardashian fan. I'm
Right?
not. But
Understood.
I remember there was a clip once of the one sister, Chloe, who she said something along the lines of, "Why is it that I've always seen the best in men from the beginning, but it takes a man to behave badly to see the best in me? Why aren't they seeing me in a positive way, and supporting me and loving me just because of me?
Right.
Not what I can do for you, not
Right.
what I give you, not what I'm not a default setting."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's
I
it
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she's involved with someone else, now he's pressuring her to be involved, to be
Right.
with him.
Right.
Now
Right.
he's got a health crisis. Now he's pressuring
But
her
and you
to
know
be with
what?
him.
And the thing of it is I truly believe that they don't see it. I don't think that they intentionally say she's with somebody else. Let me go in and slay that situation so she stays on ice for me. I just think that seeing that is a stimulus to make them react, but it isn't like they're doing it. They don't even realize that's what they're doing.
I know, and
That
it's
they're
not.
asking you somehow to choose them over someone else, but they're still not committed to say, I'm here. That's why
Yeah,
I want you to choose me. No, no, no. I want you to choose me. I'm still going to put you on ice or on a shelf until, we're ready to, hook up again.
I know. It's like that. I mean, it's the classic, toy, right? A
Yeah.
toy can sit there all day long, all day long,
Yeah.
and somebody
Yeah.
else comes and plays with a toy, and then all of a sudden that child will
Oh yeah.
sit.
Get shiny and new again.
That's my toy. You
Yeah.
can't touch that toy, and may get the toy back, and by the next day, that toy will be sitting on
Yep.
the floor again.
Yep. Absolutely.
And when you say it's not, I don't think I agree. I don't think it's intentional.
No, 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 no.
Um, but yeah, and it's unfortunate because I've seen it show up in my relationships
Yeah. Yeah.
over time, and it's devastating.
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a fourth book coming. It is
Ooh.
The Rancher Before Stilettos.
Ah,
Yeah, so we get a chance now to go back and see and uncover what made Zaid who Zaid is. And again, I thought it was an opportunity to bring some of the history around becoming a rancher or becoming a young woman growing up on a ranch, but still having a mindset for being progressive, right?
So how far back are you going to go?
Like high school.
High
Yeah,
school?
I think it starts around high school. Same friends. They reflect back to when they were little kids, just like they do in the other books. But yeah, from the storyline, it's about the high school era, and she and her parents are still alive at that point, and kind of you get a chance to see how each dreamer from choices that they made would happen earlier on that would make them make the choices that they're making later in life.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the name of the ranch hand? What's his name again?
Nash.
Nash. So I have to be honest, and I don't know if anyone's ever told you this before, but I kind of was rooting for him. I thought when she takes off from the wedding and he goes running after her, there's a piece of me that thought it was the two of them that were going to end up together.
I think that is a theme throughout all the books, that the love that they have for each other. And technically, excuse me, Zayd is always saying, that's my brother. We grew up like brother and sister.
Yeah.
But there is some light that's shown in earlier books that show Nash looks up to her as the the woman that he would want, the woman he's looking for. He kind of compares all other women to her. In fact, one of the reasons I gave him a girlfriend is because a good friend of mine said Nash needs a woman of his own, and he needs to stay out of Zayd's business, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So the next book, I gave him a girlfriend, and I named him after my friend who, I named the girl after my friend who had the comment. And
Oh, okay.
she's like, well, no, you could have named her somebody else. No, no, no. This is a Lawana story, this storyline, this part right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But and then I've had people to say, is he gay? Because I guess he's
Ah,
always, yeah, he's always around, Zayd and the girls, but he is her brother in every sense of the word. And really, there are times when you can tell that while she may be the more dominant personality, she looks up to him as a compass. When
yes.
she goes off course and he's disappointed in her, it matters to her that he's okay with her more than anybody else. And I love Nash. Nash is one of my favorite characters in the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's
His,
interesting because I even though I did for a piece of me thought, oh, maybe that they would end up together, but you're right in that his his place in her life is um multifaceted. So he may be a man, but what he represents is best friend, brother,
yep,
uncle,
yep,
father,
yep,
cousin. I mean, it's all wrapped into one and almost like the male equivalent of all the dreamers,
exactly.
which
Absolutely.
is in all
Absolutely. I love that you said that. He's like all of them rolled into one. And the
yeah.
thing that's really interesting is he grew up with them too. So he knows them all. And
Yeah.
on some level, he kind of adds his little piece of each one of their roles all
Mhm.
into one encompassing person. I
Yeah.
have a question that has come up a lot. How do you feel about how Lawana, his girlfriend, in book two and
Mhm.
three, responds to his attention to Zayd because it causes some conflict?
Um, at first I thought, it was just kind of like, oh, she's just not being reasonable. But there was a part where I think it really made a lot of sense because I hate to use the word trigger, but it really was triggering um, her own sense of self, right? She
Right.
was
Yeah, absolutely.
insecure. She probably, there were a history of not great relationships, a history, her fear that he was going to leave her. So I don't know if it was necessarily about Zayd in particular. I think
Right.
it was the fact that
Absolutely.
Another
Absolutely.
was, she felt taking precedence over her.
Right. And I mean, what woman in any relationship wants to be second? And I get if that's your, excuse me, if that's your mom, you view that a little differently. But here's this person that you built up to your woman to be all that, and then you're spending all this time with her. So why wouldn't she have like some little doubts, in the back of her mind about that? But I think that for him to kind of put his foot down and say, I don't know any other way to tell you, I'm here because I want to be here, but Zayd is family.
Yeah.
And, to that point, I kind of feel like if you want to be a part of my family, then come with me when I'm going to check on Zayd. You don't just have to, it doesn't have to just be me. It can be both of us doing that because she is ranked, at that level of importance to me.
Yeah. And, to his credit, he's just not going to entertain the drama.
No, he's not. He is not. No, ma'am.
Which,
Absolutely not.
it's not, he's not about that. So
No,
that was
no,
good.
no, no. Well, you know what? I can't believe we're out of time. Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
I love you two pieces. Thank you so much
Well, thank
for
you so much for having me and letting me be a part of this journey with you. We're going to
oh,
definitely have to talk about getting you to Canada.
I know. I cannot wait. In fact, we'll do maybe a book signing, something like that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe look at it, something in the new year. I
Yep.
don't know how you feel about snow.
I'm I'm good with it as long as it's like I don't have to live in it,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. Navigating that 24/7. I've lived in New York, I've lived in Chicago, and I keep coming back to Texas because it kind of levels out. You don't really get too much extreme of that except the heat, and I'm used to that anyway.
right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and
it doesn't
yeah.
matter when.
Okay. Because January, February, March, April, sometimes into May, we'll be dealing with cold. So we'll have to
I know,
figure
but
out.
I love Canada, by the way. It's
Oh,
absolutely
you enjoyed
beautiful.
Toronto, did you?
Yes, love Toronto. And
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
can't wait to get back up there and see you very soon.
well, you are most welcome to come by here anytime. Doesn't have to be about the book. You just come see me.
All right, all right. Can we cheer out? Cheers to you.
Absolutely.
Cheers to
Cheers.
success in 2025. And thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for bringing such amazing characters to life.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Take
Till
care.
next time.
Till next time.